Oh, what's up, guys? Gun here. Happy Monday, October 28, 2019. It's a new week upon us, and I sure hope that you guys enjoyed your weekend, enjoyed week one of NBA, enjoyed your NFL Sunday. It was a very weird day for NFL. My apologies for no NFL video last week. I have been just swamped with having to produce so much NBA content and getting ready in my own daily lines or whatever. NBA, while baseball is my favorite sport and football is I'm pretty dominant at that. NBA is certainly the sport where I spend the most volume on a night to night. So I have a lot of investors. So I have a lot of lineups to manage and whatnot. So it is pretty difficult at times to kind of keep up with everything. But I'm hoping to get ahead of it all pretty soon and kind of have a more concrete schedule for you guys going forward. But I think for the most part, we've been doing good for the NBA schedule. I've been giving you guys the night before videos and then the afternoon streams. So we'll continue to do that this week. So if you guys are coming along for the ride, make sure you guys also have an account over at twitch.tv/Gundacker99. Follow the channel there. When we go live every afternoon, you'll get a notification on your phone, your mobile device, what have you. It looks like we're going to be hit with a lot of small slates early on for like Tuesdays and Thursdays. It looks like the TNT nights. I'll take another look at the schedule this week coming up. But it looks like we're going to keep getting like big slate, small slate, big slate. Just a short term pattern. Maybe it'll spread out as we go forward. But when we have large slates, like tonight, Monday night, you should probably expect the live Twitch stream to be at 3 p.m. Eastern. And when we have shorter slates, like a 3-gamer, we'll probably push it back to 4 p.m. Eastern. And we'll work with that as a short-term idea on how we approach stuff. That way, a 3-game slate, we still can stay out as late as possible to collect as much news as possible. And then maybe give you guys some more time to catch up because I know a lot of you guys working a daytime. So that's what we're thinking about in the short term. So make sure you're over on Twitch, man. I know I've said it over and over, but I'm super humbled at how many of you guys decided to come check out Twitch. A bunch of grown folk who have no idea what Twitch was or is. Man, we've been having 40, 50, pushing 50 plus live viewers, which is only a fraction of what we had here on the YouTube channel for the live streams. But I am confident that that's a great sign for week one, and we could build off of that. We can grow off of that. We can have more fun with that. We have already done some more fun bits on Twitch that we haven't been able to do on YouTube using music and stuff like that. So I'm confident that we'll keep it growing over there. So come check it out, and hey, keep an eye out if there's other NBA or just really other DFS content providers, content creators that have been creating their mark on Twitch as well. So I'm really hoping that Twitch kind of picks up on that, creates a fantasy sports category, and we can really have a healthy ecosystem of DFS content, whether it be in the live form or the VOD form like we have here on YouTube. So make sure you come check out that. Normally we kick these things off with a couple of beasts of the night and boss night, all that, but Sundays are a little bit different since I don't typically actively play NBA DFS on Sundays with NFL DFS going. I basically have one day off a week, and it's not even a full day, and that's after NFL lock on Sunday. So I didn't really invest a whole lot of time in playing DFS last night or really observing it, but just to kind of take you guys back, Brooklyn and Memphis went to overtime. Memphis won. Jay Morant had a really clutch late block in that game on Kyrie to clinch the win. Memphis 134, Brooklyn 133, continuing their high scoring, high pace trend. Jay Morant had a big game for fantasy. He was a guy I played a lot on Saturday night. But in overtime included, he only played 32 minutes, so he did a lot in a little, and that's kind of been what we've noticed with Memphis so far. Is their minutes aren't super deep. But for a fantasy perspective here, kind of reminds me of DeJounte Murray, man. I was kind of low on him the last Spurs game against the Wizards, and he also crushed it in not a lot of minutes. So if you guys took a shot on the day slate, you got some OT here, and Jay Morant almost had a double double. Absolutely crushed it, flexed a lot of what Memphis fans have been excited for. Jonas Valanciunas 44.75 DKP. And then on the net side, Kyrie with 37 real points, almost pushing a triple double again. Karis LeVert 40 fantasy points. Spencer Dinwiddie 36 and a quarter. Other than that, it wasn't like both whole teams went off, but there were certainly some good plays in that game. I'm not sure how that slate played out. Dallas hosted the Portland Trailblazers. Blazers scored 121 real points. They were down by over 15 in the first quarter. Dallas actually put up like 40 real points in the first quarter, and Blazers mounted a comeback. CJ McCollum 35 real points. Damian Lillard 28 real points. Rodney Hood 20 real points. And McCollum, of course, playing 41 minutes. Dame playing 38 minutes. The Mavs side, Luka Doncic keeps doing it. Almost got himself another triple-double. Was one assist shy. Porzingis with a big game. Those guys combined for 61 points. Just this massive. Maxi Kleber had a decent game. Story out of this game, Zach Collins of the Blazers dislocated his shoulder, I believe is what we read. Came out of this game, only played 24 minutes, will probably not play going forward until, a little bit of rest. Usually dislocations, depending on the severity, aren't like season enders or even month enders, but I'm not a doctor and I don't want to speculate until we have some type of news. But if he were to miss, and he should miss, Mario Hezonja, maybe Skal Labissiere, Anthony Tolliver, there are a couple of options there that can maybe soak up those minutes. I would assume Hezonja is the forefront guy. He's the guy that kind of came and got 25 minutes for the Blazers yesterday. So Blazers coming in hot last couple games here. Beat Sac, beat Dallas. Not really any games that they're winning emphatically. Lakers were the night game, 120 real points, beat the Hornets by 19. Anthony Davis, the big guy there. LeBron pushed 50. Dwight Howard, 23 minutes, had 16 and 10. Quinn Cook at almost min price, 24 minutes, had 12, 3, and 8 assists. That might be something that Lakers can build off of going forward, but it also kind of strikes me at the Lakers are going to have 2 or 3 guys that are just troll us every game that have good games, whether it be a Danny Green super shot efficiency night or KCP has this fake game every now and then, JaVale McGee, you know what I'm saying? But we'll watch that. Quinn Cook definitely the youngest up-and-coming guard there. And then, of course, they've got Rondo waiting to come back there. So, AD and LeBron combined for over 100 fantasy points. Neither one of them smashed it on a general slate for their price point, but I would imagine on this small slate they didn't burn you. OKC hosted the Warriors. Warriors gave up 120 real points. Warriors defense not looking great. Their offense hasn't been overly efficient either. The guy I'm most curious with from this game, SGA, he had a huge game in Game 2 against the Warriors of the season. I said Game 2 like it was like a conference series or something, but in the second game of the Thunder series, he had a massive game. He put up almost 40 fantasy points here, so we'll see if that kind of like shifts the balance of his price point. And Dennis Schroeder, on top of 28 points, 8 rebounds, and 6 assists, had 4 steals there. Chris Paul played just 19 minutes. It was just a blowout, really. I mean, Terrence Ferguson, look at it, 30 minutes for Terrence Ferguson. He was a plus 30. So that game just didn't go the Warriors' way. And I would assume anytime the seesaw gets too tilted, I'm going to assume that CP3 kind of gets rested. You kind of protect him there. So fun game there. From the Warriors side, Steph Curry took 18 shots, only hit 7 of them, was a minus 30, 40 fantasy points. This is really ugly down here. Amari Spellman, Marquise Chris were your second best plays on the team. Decent values for what that's worth, but this is kind of not what a lot of people expected. D'Angelo Russell, 22 minutes, 6 real points, 10 shot attempts in Like I said, 22 minutes. So really, really yucky box score there. But we might be able to take advantage of some of this front court volumes, front court value here on what's a disappointing start for the Warriors season. If you guys are Warriors fans, most of the Warriors fans have only been fans for half a decade now. So maybe get to experience how it's like to lose. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. T-Wolves hosted the Miami Heat. Funny story on Saturday night. We were preparing for the NFL slate, and I got a notification on my phone that Carl Towns went live on Twitch. I was like, wait, let me find out. And he played a short session of Call of Duty, but I was definitely joking with the Vipers that if this cat stays up till 7, 8 in the morning playing COD, might have to fade him. But no, he pulled the plug quick. And he had a great game here. So starting with the Heat side though, Justice Winslow 28-6, 44 fantasy points. Bam Adebayo, great game from him. Kendrick Nunn, 40 minutes out of him, 25 real points, 4 boards, 2 assists. Nunn was the preseason fantasy sweetheart that put 40 real points up in the preseason game. You guys have been playing him. You continue to get rewarded at 5,300. Certainly would have been something I had some reservations with, but I do think this matchup and without Jimmy Butler for now, I definitely think it was worth a shot on a short slate, right? So on the T-Wolves side, Karl-Anthony Towns 51 and a quarter in 35 minutes, 23-11 assists, or just 4 of them, but a block, 2 steals. I still think Cat's got a triple-double coming sooner or later. And then past Cat, there wasn't any fantastic slate-breaking plays that you had to have here. Teague, Andrew Wiggins, Rocco all gave you about 30-ish fantasy points. So that's your Sunday of NBA, man. If you guys took a day off like me, it's time to get back in it. And we've got a big-time slate tonight before we jump into each game here. Just a light preview of each game, by the way. We'll go full deep dive in this afternoon on Twitch. I want to go back to what we did last year every Monday, and that's shout out all the active subscribers at rundfs.com because you guys are really the inspiration, I would say, to continue to produce the content. And then also those guys are making it possible for me to keep putting up some of the free content here, like Twitch and here on YouTube. So I would like every Monday to return to shouting those guys out, a public acknowledgement, a thank you for being supporters of RunDFS.com. So let's start from the tippy top. Active week passers: D Parker 9, Damron 1474, DC Killer 27, Diltum 22, Eric _Boy Jamster, Jalius Caesar, Lane Elliott, Mexican Baller 87, NTG 1990, Stu Baby, Taco, The Bacon, Trustful, Zatex, Don Juan, J Rake, STR, JSNY 175. That is 30KJ. Young C, Aaron CO32, Adrian Ross 91, Boogeyman, Brock's Bully 11, B McAfee, C Dub 567, Dang Lazy Mofos, Dan 4th 11, Ellis Dad 18, Gifo 13, Guwop 17, Logan 08, Perxis, RR 22790, the homie Remy, System, Evshire, Hobot 40, JP43, Ocho Cinco _DC, always be placing Fish Fan. And if I miss you, my bad. Shout out to those guys for being the lifeblood of the RunDFS.com VIP family. So those guys keep the lights on over there. And it's awesome that they would appreciate the content and my DFS mind enough to open up their PayPals and say, hey, Gun, let's be friends. I forgot to put the NBA Vegas odds in each game here, so let me open up that tab, and we'll start chopping up each game. First of all, the Detroit Pistons hosting the Indiana Pacers. This is actually a game we've already got a taste of from Game 1 of Detroit, and that's the game where Andre Drummond went bananas in pajamas. We got a 213.5 total 2-point spread in favor of the home team, Indiana Pacers. Reggie Jackson did miss the last Detroit game, and that opened up an incredible opportunity for minutes for starter Tim Frazier and Derrick Rose, who Derrick Rose really made the most of it. Reggie Jackson is listed as doubtful for this game. And if he were to miss, you might expect Tim Frazier to start again. But I would assume a lot of people, including myself, would be super interested in going back to Derrick Rose. Coach Dwayne Casey said that it is possible Derrick Rose will see some more minutes at some point in the future. He's averaging 26.3 minutes through the first 3 games of the season. He did admit, though, that he's not able to play big minutes right now. They have had to rely more on him than they anticipated because Reggie Jackson has been bothered by a bad back. Rose is a massive injury risk, but he's safe to ride until the wheels fall off, and it certainly stands to reason that the wheels will at least go flat a couple times throughout the course of a season. So if we're going to put Reggie Jackson doubtful for now, we're going to put Tim Frazier there. This raises some concern for me, but I want to first preface all of this by saying I'm not too concerned, but I'm a little bit concerned because the matchup is great for Andre Drummond, as we've already seen. But I do think there is a little bit of a trickle effect from Reggie Jackson to maybe a Frazier, but especially a Derrick Rose. If Derrick Rose overlaps with Drummond more than maybe we planned for at Drummond's price of 9.3, maybe Drummond isn't fed quite as much. We know Derrick Rose is a guy that his style of basketball will have the ball in his hands a little bit more. He's going to take shots, 16 and 21 shots in his last 2 games, 31 and 27 real points. Not that we have enough sample size to really trust that this can't be a situation where they both coexist and do just fine. But Andre Drummond, 18 shots in game 1. That was the game Reggie Jackson started. 12, that's a game where Reggie Jackson got hurt and didn't really close out. And then 10 against Philly in 25 minutes. Now, a couple things here. I just want to say I'm thinking out loud about the Rose situation. Drummond did foul out in 25 minutes. And I do think that the 76ers defensively, even though Joel Embiid was out that game, is better than Atlanta and Indiana. So there are some moving parts, some moving variables to hinder or maybe anchor Drummond as a good to great play today. But I just wanted to think about some of the things that could be a factor. And I do think Derrick Rose having the ball in his hand will hurt the shot attempts for Drummond. With that said, if Drummond stays out of foul trouble, 35 plus minutes, likely his range of outcome here, and the Indiana Pacers are just undersized for a guy like Drummond. We saw Drummond was able to drop 78 and a quarter DKP in 41 minutes of gameplay in their first game. And then in the last game that the Pacers played, Tristan Thompson played 35 minutes, and he put up almost 50 fantasy points on top of 13 rebounds and 16 shot attempts and a couple blocks. So nonetheless, Andre Drummond doesn't need to give us 70-plus fantasy points. Nonetheless, Blake Griffin's still out. And Andre Drummond, if he just got us in the neighborhood of 50 fantasy points, which seems like a logistical, realistical range of outcome. Here's a guy who got 34 and 25. So I would have some Drummond here. I'm kind of wondering if the field point chases or if the field just doesn't play him because of the options on the slate. Giannis Antetokounmpo, James Harden, Nikola Jokic, all these MVP caliber players. If he just falls through the cracks. So keeping all those things in mind as we go forward today, I think I'm willing to not overreact to Derrick Rose ball handling, and I still don't think they want Derrick Rose playing 30-plus real minutes and yada, yada, yada. I think there's enough meat on the bone for both of those guys, but I would certainly prefer Reggie Jackson starting because we know when Reggie starts, Blake is out and Drummond is in. Those two work really, really well together, but right now we have Reggie Jackson listed as doubtful officially. On the Pacers side, Jeremy Lamb, the name to watch here. Lamb actually missed the Pacers' last game, which was an immediate boost for me in my personal projections and for the RunDFS.com VIP for Malcolm Brogdon. Lamb was dealing with a hip pointer, I believe. He is officially listed as questionable for this game. He was unable to practice on Sunday, so because of him not practicing yesterday and missing last game, if we had to designate him as anything, it's probably closer to doubtful than in or questionable. But at best, right now, he's questionable. So if he were to be out, you probably see another boost for Edmund Sumner. Maybe guys like Holiday, Doug McDermott getting those minutes. But Malcolm Brogdon, in my opinion, is the immediate beneficiary. He was or has been really incredible for the Pacers thus far. 35 minutes in game 2, 36 minutes in game 1. Both of those games well exceeding value from a $6,900 standpoint. And no matter what, I think defensively the Pistons are not going to be a problem for Brogdon. And what I'm really encouraged with Brogdon here, and you know, we're still developing information because we only have a 2-game sample size of him not being on the Bucks, you know, sharing the court with the big time stud. Brogdon's filling the stat sheet. He's getting double doubles with points and assists. Ben Simmons, I don't want to compare him to Ben Simmons, but Trae Young absolutely torched this Detroit backcourt with 7 rebounds, 9 assists, and a bunch of real points. And then, of course, Brogdon himself had 11 assists and a couple of real points. Didn't even go crazy in the real. He had 22 real points. Only hit 5 field goal attempts. He shot 10 for 11 from the line here. So I like Brogdon a lot, just in and of himself. But of course, if Jeremy Lamb were to be out, it would amplify my interest that much more. Domantas Sabonis and Miles Turner both in play here for me today. The Pistons front court has certainly been it is a front court that I think people overrate defensively, right? I think Markieff Morris has this reputation for, you know, just being a bad boy, and Drummond, we know about his blocks, steals, and rebounds, but we have definitely seen people thrive in this matchup. And I would even just start with Sabonis and Miles Turner. First of all, Sabonis 7,600 on DraftKings in that first game, 46.75 DKP. He's going to probably take double-digit shot attempts. The rebounds weren't there for him in game 2, but we got to give some credit to Cleveland. They have 2 really, really good rebounders in Tristan Thompson and Kevin Love. And that's something I'm going to be watching going forward. So Cleveland's probably going to play a slow-paced game style, and they got 2 really great guys that clean the glass. So I think if we can get Sabonis back towards the double-digit rebound mark, I certainly would be willing to have some shares of him. I will say I don't think Sabonis is priced at a point where, like, I have to go out of my way to get him. But Tobias Harris, 43 fantasy points, John Collins 40 fantasy points, and Sabonis himself 46 fantasy points. So we have yet to see a starting power forward drop less than 40 fantasy points against this Pistons front court. Kind of going into my initial point was I don't think the Pistons is like some lockdown defense or something I'm running away from. And on the same token, you can make a backdoor case for Miles Turner. For me, this is going to be more so for deep tournaments. But in that first game for the Pacers, Miles Turner dropped 46.25 fantasy points on DraftKings in 39 minutes. And I think this Pacers starting lineup should be fruitful and plentiful in minutes played. 38 minutes in game 1, 40 minutes in game 2. We're seeing this from a lot of teams. I don't know. This could just be like a coach's approach for a lot of teams, because we're seeing a lot of teams play 38 minutes. You see the Raptors do it. We're seeing the Celtics do it. It could just be a coach's approach to get these guys in condition. You know what I'm saying? Some coaches want to ramp guys up. Maybe they want to do it early on. But if these guys are going to play these type of minutes, then I definitely have to reevaluate my level of interest on them. Last season, maybe the last 2 seasons, Miles Turner hasn't been a guy that floats to the top of my list for consideration. But if he's going to play 40 minutes, that's a lot of opportunity. Minutes equal money, and it's because of the opportunity. He's taking double-digit shot attempts in game 1, took 9 in game 2. Rebounds weren't there, or really he hasn't been getting rebounds. But in game 1, you know, he was able to get to the basket, and he's in the conversation for me. He might make it into like the tier 3. It's a big time slate tonight, certainly. But I think the Pacers offer at least 3 4 front fantasy plays, and then maybe some shots at value plays based on Jeremy Lamb's absence. Moving on to the next game, Knicks hosting the Chicago Bulls. And I probably took too long for that game. Maybe I should speed it up. Knicks hosting the Bulls here. 220. Excuse me, 224 is our total 1 point spread in favor of the visiting Chicago Bulls. I have updated the stat feeds for the spreadsheet right now, so aesthetically, this is all based off of this season's information, but also in that same breath, short sample size can certainly skew stats. So kind of keep that in mind. But what we've seen so far from the Chicago Bulls is defensively, it's not great, and they're also not an elite rebounding team, and they're not great at guarding the 3 point shot. So Bulls. Zach LaVine, I think he's going to be their leading scorer. He's averaging over 20 real points a game so far. I like him in pace-up spots. Lauri Markkanen is intriguing to me, but I don't think this is a game I'm going to go out of my way to attack. If we go look at the team stats tab in the RunDFS.com VIP spreadsheet, we'll check out pace. Still super early in the season here, but I would guess these guys, after 2 or 3 games, are closer to league average than anything else. Yeah, so I don't know that I attack Bulls here. I will say on the Knicks side, we did get news last night that Dennis Smith Jr. is going to be out for personal reasons. At least I saw 2 reports. I saw doubtful out. So let's just say right now we're anticipating him to not play this game. That theoretically would open up safer projections for the Knicks guard rotation. I've been on um, the Fizdale, I don't know, hate train. I don't hate Fizdale. I just, he's one of those coaches that you just can't predict. And so many times last year, it was just he pulled the rug out from under us when we thought we knew what he was going to do with a player in terms of minutes offered, and it didn't happen. So if DSJ's out, and he is, we should expect theoretically plentiful minutes for their top draft pick, RJ Barrett. Right now I put him at a soft 35, which I'd take a shot on that if I had to against the Bulls. We should expect an opportunity for minutes for Elfrid Payton and maybe Alonzo Trier and Frank Ntilikina. I'm not going to dive too deep into exposures on the Knicks, and maybe more information will come out throughout the day. But just reporting the facts here, DSJ's out. If you wanted to dabble with some Knicks guards, go for it. 224 total. There's enough meat on the bone there to be somewhat interested. Julius Randle has been playing a lot of minutes for the Knicks, and again, I don't want to get too attached to one guy playing minutes, and then the time I do it, they pull it out from under him. You can kind of see in the first 2 games, 35 minutes. Of course, that game was without Mitchell Robinson, 39 minutes against Brooklyn. Then he only gets 30 minutes against Boston, and he only had 1 foul that game. So it's a whole lot of maybe I just don't play Knicks on an 11 game slate, something like that. So I think early on, I'm not going to force in any Knicks, but I will say that there is at least some merit into considering some of these guards. If you guys think differently or along the same lines, let me know in the comments below. On the Bulls side, we're probably going to still expect a limited minutes for Otto Porter, which really just kind of jacks up everything for most of the wings. Kobe White has been the borderline exception. He's 5K off of the bench for the Bulls. Looking for 30 on the nose to be really happy, and hopefully more. 22, 30, 27 minutes in his first 3 games. Has exceeded 30 DKP in 2 of those games, and has certainly taken the shot attempts in all of those games to get there. So if you want to put him in your back pocket as a risky but potentially valuable tournament play, I don't mind number 0, Kobe White, as the 6th man for that squad. Moving on to the next game, Atlanta Hawks hosting the Philadelphia 76ers. Don't have a confirmed total for this game yet. Once again, Joel Embiid listed as questionable. News over the weekend is a little bit harder to get than usual. But Embiid did miss the last game against the Detroit Pistons. He's dealing with a right ankle sprain. He also needed stitches in his lip during Wednesday's game versus Boston, but it's likely the ankle injury that's keeping him on the injury report. Al Horford should benefit if Embiid sits again, as he shifts to a higher usage role at center, and Mattis Thybulle enters the starting five. We'll get a better sense of Embiid's availability after shoot around. And that, of course, a blurb from Roto World. So that's going to be one of those things. If you're taking notes, asterisk, Joel Embiid, check back this afternoon. Should be some news on whether he plays or not. For now, I put him as in. If he is in, it's an absolutely great spot for him to come out and be a point per minute monster. I soft projected him for 32 minutes, and my projection algorithm spit back 57.31 DKP just as a soft projection. So that's a lot of fantasy points. Hawks, of course, are a team that we expect a lot of opposing teams to get there from rebounds, from pace up, from just from being able to score. And we know Joel Embiid will be the leader in usage for the Sixers. We haven't developed a whole lot of sample size of this whole entire starting five together. But individually, the Sixers are all priced to be at a point where they can all hit their projected ROI, their value on their salary. Obviously, it seems less than likely that they all would, but because of the matchup, I think you could consider all of them as player pool candidates. Even Ben Simmons at sub 9K, with or without Joel Embiid, is in play for me. He's a guy that does it all. Could have a triple-double here. 35 minutes in both games thus far. 46 and 45. So at 88, mid-40s is not tipping the scale much. And in 2019, probably doesn't go a whole long way to winning tournaments, but it definitely doesn't dismiss you or disqualify you. We should expect double-digit shot attempts. We should probably expect close to double-digit rebounds and assists. In Game 2 against the Detroit Pistons, he had 7 steals. 7. Now, 7 steals is really freaking high, and that, of course, made Ben Simmons an excellent play on FanDuel. 7 steals, that's 21 FanDuel points off the bat. But the Atlanta Hawks do have a tendency, if we include last season's stats, to turn the ball over quite a bit. This season hasn't been that bad. Turnover per play percentage. The Knicks lead that. Where are the Atlanta Hawks at? Hawks aren't that high. Hawks are actually above league average, or below, however, which way you're looking at it. Right about 15% turnover per play percentage. And last year they were at the tippy top. So if you expect regression from that, you might consider Ben Simmons to add on to his potential of filling the stat sheet and maybe picking up a couple steals to boot. And the same with Josh Richardson. Richardson, I think, would be the least favorite of all the Sixers right now, but I still think the minutes and matchup and opportunity are there for him. He was certainly a letdown last game without Joel Embiid, but it looks like Brett Brown wants to really solidify Simmons and Richardson as a great backcourt. But just on the surface, just from the algorithm, when I put on all these soft projections, there really wasn't a return in the projection machine that was bad for their price point. So, again, we'll see if they all get there. I think the question mark here is Trae Young. 9K for Trae. All day Trae. You guys, let me know what you're doing with Trae Young, because he's certainly a guy that I feel like is a very volatile player. To start the season, he's been shooting at an incredible percentage, 60%, 50%, basically 55% on the season from 3 and 20 shots. And he's taking 20 plus shots a game. And not only that, he's getting you rebounds. The assist I expect, the 9 plus, maybe even double assists with 20, 30 real points. The rebounds is what's really shocking me. And I'm wondering if we start taking these rebounds away to something a little bit more realistic for a point guard of his size, is he a safe 9K player long term? No, but every day he's going to have the upside. Now, I think, I don't know how do I word this? I think he's going to be more owned than he should. I'm not saying he's a bad play, because in and of himself, he obviously put up 60 plus. But if we consider that the field is very reactive to short sample size and what has this guy done, um, people might just play Trae Young and expect 60 plus fantasy points. And I think that Detroit's not a great guard defense, and I think the Orlando game surprises me. I do think Orlando's a good defense, and the Hawks only put up 103 real points, but the rebounds seem really unsustainable, and that's just my out loud opinion. And I think if Joel Embiid is in for this Sixers team, I would say there's a great enough range of outcome that if you told me Trae Young could push 20%, maybe even more than 20% on this slate against a Sixers defense, um, that I expect to be amongst the best in the league, especially in the Eastern Conference. I think there's a great enough percent that in like 20 entry max or something, I could justify full fading Trae Young, and know that he's not gonna drop 60 fantasy points every game, right? So hopefully I've communicated that well enough to you guys to know that that's not me saying fade Trae Young, but it is me saying that as of now, I think there's a strong enough chance if we project Embiid to be in that he's not going to push double digit rebounds. And then if he starts not shooting 50, 60%, every now and then you're going to have a bad shooting night. If it happens here, if he just has 40, 50, the people that play him probably aren't mad. But I feel like I could distinguish myself pretty doggone well if ownership projections kind of get him to 30%, 20, 25%, and I can kind of leverage against 25% of the field on a game that Trae Young could have 35, 40, right? If Trae Young has 40 tonight, it's probably not going to go a long way considering all the other 9K area studs, right? That's just me thinking out loud, a little game theory. If you agree, disagree, I love you just the same. Um, if Embiid is in, I'm not super stoked to pick on this Sixers team at any position. It looks like the Hawks are kind of spreading minutes pretty evenly for the guards, backup wings, stuff like that. Maybe John Collins, Alex Lynn, and super long shot deep tournaments, but for the most part, I'll probably be lower on the Hawks than the field, and I'll have a couple of chunks of the 76ers to set my table, my lineup tables for the night, right? Some solid floor plays in that game. Orlando Magic at the Toronto Raptors. Next game on the docket. This one, it's got a 7:30 start time here. Magic and Raptors have a total of 212.5, and the home team Raptors favored by 4.5. I think that the Raptors' defensive efficiency probably isn't as good as I expect it to be. I think it'll increase. I think 2-3 game sample sizes are going to be a little wonky. If you look at their schedule thus far, in 3 games they face the New Orleans Pelicans, which went to overtime, and we know how fast paced the Pelicans are. Then they played Boston and Chicago, and these games looked a little bit more like the Raptors, particularly the Chicago game where they held them to under 90 real points. The Boston game was just two good defensive teams going at it, and it's just two good teams, right? So I do think the Raptors at home here with a little bit of rest over the weekend. This game probably doesn't shoot out. What I will say is that the Raptors have been playing their players a very deep amount of minutes, and this could be tied to getting your guys conditioned. But 45 and 40 minutes the first 2 games. 45, of course, was an overtime, but you take 5-minute overtime out. We got 40 minutes for Kyle Lowry in 2 games. Then 34 minutes in a blowout against the Bulls. Um, and that's true all the way down. Anunoby only played like 20-something minutes last game. But prior to that, 38, 36 minutes here. Pascal Siakam was on a little bit of foul trouble last game, so he didn't stretch out the full allotment of minutes, considering it was a blowout as well. He had 5 fouls in 28 minutes, but 36, 38 minutes in his first couple games. So if you take out the overtime, he's probably a 35-minute player himself. And then Fred VanVleet, 6,300, 42, 44 minutes in the first 2 games, and then 31 in that blowout against the Bulls. So Well, what I'm getting at here is, even though this is not a sexy matchup, if we just look at team metrics and points per games and points per game allowed, the Raptors could be a team that everyone is at least somebody we should consider just based on what we expect their minute projection to be. The forefront guys for me would be Kyle Lowry, if he's going to be a 40-minute candidate, and of course Pascal Siakam. Um, I think both of these defenses are plus. So I'm not expecting a whole lot here. But we tend to see good defenses play scrappy, and sometimes that keeps close games, and maybe even steal an extra inning or two. Vucevic let me down against the Atlanta Hawks, man. I hyped him up. He got a double-double, but it was a poor man's double-double. Aaron Gordon, probably not someone I'm running to roster. Let me just for the heck of it, see how the bigs have performed in short sample size against the Raptors here. Aaron Gordon, I definitely don't see myself playing much, if any, Aaron Gordon here. But who knows? I could be way wrong. Aaron Gordon. We just saw Tatum drop 50, but that was in 36 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. That would just be a tournament play of the ages. So I'll take a sweep at some Raptors today. But I'm thinking short term, I'm not going to find myself having many, if any, Orlando Magic players. Moving on to the next game. Pelicans hosting the Golden State Warriors. We talked about how disappointing the Warriors have been defensively, and maybe even argue offensively. Yesterday did not look great. We talked about it at the top of this video. This is a Pelicans team that produces very fantasy-friendly games. They're going to be league leaders in pace, and you can see already they're allowing 126 points per game. They're scoring 120 points per game. They're games that we want to target. Steph Curry and D'Angelo Russell. Russell had a poor game yesterday. Steph Curry, at 9,500, he didn't have a great game, but already I'm seeing a game theory leverage play, maybe, right? If you think it's possible that Trae Young on fresh legs after dropping back-to-back 60s is higher owned than Steph Curry at 9,500, who should lead the team in shot attempts, 20 plus shot attempts, fast-paced game, getting some peripherals, then maybe Steph Curry over Trae Young in a single injury or something like that. Could be that move that gets it done, because the Pelicans have been allowing very, very big fantasy days to opposing teams, and we definitely know that to be true from last year, and we expect it to be true going forward this year. Drew Holiday missed the Rockets game. Let me see if I can get an update on that. Because he missed that game, I was definitely much more receptive to playing James Harden. In Westbrook, Harden was not really a fantastic play. Matter of fact, he was borderline, arguably a bad play, but Westbrook continued to be a great play. Drew Holiday's dealing with a left knee sprain. He's being listed as questionable for this game. Didn't know if he practiced after missing Saturday's game, so we probably put Holiday closer to doubtful for this game. But if he does play, it is a down tick for Curry, but I don't think it's a massive down. Like, Curry's not untouchable. But if Drew Holiday were to be out, it definitely opens up a better path to success for Curry and this Warriors team. And this Warrior team, they need to get back right, man. They got to start getting the feeling of wins under their belt. With that said, this Warriors team's not good on defense, so I would be happy to roster a lot of these Pelicans players. And I think if Drew Holiday was out, that's going to open up 34 minutes that we could fill. The first two guys that I would be interested in, we'll start with Brandon Ingram, 7,500. This price really isn't shaking to an untouchable spot. He was 69-71 in his last two games, 63, 46, 41. He's dropped 40 plus in each game thus far. You can bank on his minutes. You can bank on his shot attempts, almost 20 plus shot attempts. He's averaging 20 shot attempts a game. Get enough peripherals, boards, and assists, a couple of defensive stats that he's in play for me every day. Again, I can see a median range of outcome where he just gets 40 fantasy points. Remember, he barely broke 40 in overtime against the Raptors, but that's a much better defense. The Houston game is probably more likely to match in pace to this one. Lonzo Ball at 6,300. Game one turned out to be so far an anomaly where he only got 25 minutes and didn't close out. Played 33 minutes against Dallas, 36 against Houston. 36 probably was a catalyst of Drew Holiday being out. But I think this is a stat sheet stuffer, and as long as there's not a high usage ball hog like a LeBron or someone like that to take away the ability for Lonzo to still have double digit shots on his peripherals, he's going to get hustle stats. He's gonna be a decent defender, right? Steals and whatnot will be there too. At 6,300, I think there's plenty of meat on the bone for Lonzo Ball, especially against what we've established is a really bad defense in the Pelicans. So give me some Lonzo Ball here, more so if Drew Holiday is out. But even if Drew Holiday isn't out, 6,300 for Lonzo makes sense. If Drew Holiday is out, hello Josh Hart again, 4,800 for him. I don't think that's high enough for me to not play him. 36, 30, 33 in all games thus far. Double-digit shot attempts against Houston without Drew Holiday. The surprise of that game for me was that he did a lot of real scoring and not a whole lot of peripheral grabbing. In games 1 and 2, we saw the rebounds and whatnot. We didn't really get that in game 3 against Houston. He was just nailing some more threes and got a couple steals to boot. I expect the potential rebounds to come back as the Warriors will take a lot of long-range shots, which creates a lot of missed shots that bounce anywhere, and Hart's a hustler, right? So I definitely will take some shots on him at 4,800 on DK and at 5,800 on FanDuel. I would just say he's certainly not the 3K must play, right? There is a stronger range of outcomes where he's just an average to okay play. And then that's probably it for the forefront, like the short list of my interest for this game. But we will circle back later today on Twitch.tv/Gundacker99 to dive even deeper in this one, because I'm really curious to see where people land on Steph Curry, because of all all things already considered, it's also a back-to-back for them, and I could probably say that the locker room morale isn't great. Marquise Chris at 3,200, I think is a fantastic value play. Kevin Looney probably going to be out again. Chris at 3,200 doesn't take much in this game to walk away with 25 fantasy points at this price point. Now Marquise Chris is going to be one of the league leaders in fouls per minute, 3 and 4 fouls in 23 and 14 minutes the last 2 games. But this is a much faster pace and a high potential for all kinds of peripheral stats. And every now and then we'll see him chuck some threes here. So if I think I can squeeze 20 plus minutes out of Marquise Chris, then I'll certainly have him in my pool, and I think I will. And then Draymond Green is probably in an unsung spot. If you played him on was it night 1 against the Clippers that he got, or was it night 2 he got injured against the Thunder, I believe? No, it was night 1 against the Clippers he got hurt. He only played 28 minutes in that game, and then last night he only played 24 minutes. The game got out of hand, and they blew out. But I think in closer games that we get Green closer to 35 minutes, maybe even 34 minutes, and a pace like this, Green will be a triple-double threat. So I would certainly be looking at him in this game. I mean, the Warriors just might be bad taste in everyone's mouth right now for a really good get-right spot. So maybe we get him at a decent ownership. I don't know. Let's move on to the next game here. Rockets hosting Oklahoma City Thunder, night 2 of a back-to-back. Chris Paul, revenge game, LOL, smiley face, SGA, up against Russell Westbrook, James Harden. Harden, I think, has been a sour taste in a lot of people's mouth early because of the far right column, 40 and 51. But it's all basically coming down to his shots not falling right now. Only hit 8 of 29 against the Pelicans and only 2 of 13 against the Bucks. The Bucks we expect to be a stingy defense. The Pelicans without Drew Holiday. This was mainly James Harden. You've probably seen videos of him being frustrated that game. Hit himself in the face. Shot 2 for 18 from downtown. My man's out here dropping 40 fantasy points, hitting 2 3-point shots, man. These shots are going to start falling a little bit more and more. And one of these days, he's going to go from shooting 27% to 50% to 60%. The Thunder, I don't know what to make of the Thunder so far. Defensively, they've held teams to low point totals. If we look at last night's game log, SGA, right? Uh, Golden State 92 points, Washington 97 points, and the Utah Jazz 100. Now, I'm not going to overrate the Jazz game because the Jazz run a slow pace, and that's probably what they wanted. But so far, you can make a conclusion, or at least uh, make an argument that the Thunder defensively are underrated. Just stringing together CP3, SGA, some young talent, Terrence Ferguson, Gallinari, and we know Steven Adams is too. Um, so maybe there's a case to be made there. Westbrook at 9,400. I'm gonna keep playing him. I just don't know why he's sub 10K. 89 and 91 in his first two games, exceeded 60 fantasy points. Unlike I kind of dogged Trae Young earlier for his rebounds. Obviously, we know Russell Westbrook gets rebounds, and he's averaging a triple double through two games. I think I think even if this OKC matchup isn't great, it's still a matchup that maybe has a little spunk on it. He's playing against some of his old friends. I'm sure watching. I can't wait to watch him try and dunk on Steven Adams. I think that would just be hilarious if and I think they'll both have fun with it. Steven Adams and Westbrook are great friends. But at 9,400, it's just too cheap, man. I mean, this Westbrook really should be 10 plus K. And it's kind of weird to see that he's been the better shooter than Harden through three games. But even when Harden starts hitting some more shots, this is going to be more assists for Russell Westbrook. Like I'm just I'm a buyer at 9,400 Russell Westbrook. Minutes are there, usage is there, the stats stuffing is there. It's just an incredible price in my opinion. Egregiously underpriced in my opinion, even with the matchup. SGA's made it to 7K. He has seemed to be probably the safest guy to project as the best guard to play from fantasy on the Thunder. Chris Paul had a good first game, second game not so much, and then last night we didn't see a lot of minutes out of him because of the blowout. And last night SGA only got 30 minutes, likely because of the blowout. And he's doing a little bit of everything. And maybe OKC fans are like, hey, we might have something here. And he's been greater than a point per minute in the last two games. And I think in this matchup, he should thrive. And 7K is an awkward click for a guy that we struggled to pay 4K for last year with the Clippers. But that could be one of our early season exploits, right? Every year there's a couple of newbies or a couple guys that find a new spot, and we're like, I can't pay this price for this guy. And then eventually, a guy like SGA is 8,500 in 3 weeks, and we're like, man, remember when we didn't play him at 7K? This could be a situation like that. So in tournaments, SGA is certainly in my player pool. Gallo, Steven Adams are intriguing, but I'm not clicking them as fast. And then Chris Paul. Paul played the least minutes out of the guards yesterday. Dennis Schroeder's the guy who did most of the fantasy damage. 19 minutes for CP3 yesterday. 30 and 30 in his first two games. Looks like the plan is for him to not play a lot of minutes. And potential narrative spot. If you're a narrative buyer, going back to Houston, there's some petty reports that him and Harden were, at clashing and whatnot. You might see Chris Paul try and show up. You just also might see Chris Paul, the veteran, just avoid it and be like, I'm gonna sit this one out and let his team play. Like it could go anyway. So 7,400 is probably enough for me to say, all right, I don't need Chris Paul, but it is kind of fun to think about. Could this be a spot where he double doubles and plays hard against his old team? And is what it is. But I'm not running to play it. Just thinking out loud. Bucks hosting the Cleveland Cavaliers. Next game on the docket. By the way, I don't know if I mentioned that Houston total, but it is 225.5, and the Rockets are favored by 10.5. So double-digit favor for the Rockets after this Thunder team has been somewhat surprising. I would say maybe they haven't been super surprising because I don't think the Warriors are good. They let the Wizards hang around. I don't know. Bucks hosting the Cavs here. Bucks are 15-point favorites. It's a 222 total. By the way, on the surface, we have 4 double-digit point spreads already. Just recapping, we've got Milwaukee minus 15, Houston minus 10.5, and Clippers minus 15.5. So only 3. But 3 blowouts on a big slate, right? That can create some weird stuff. Cavs at the Bucks, though. Giannis Antetokounmpo, 10.6K. It's going to be the name that stands out as a potential anchor to lineups tonight. 37, 28 minutes his first 2 games. First game, he fouled out in those 28 minutes and still dropped 70 freaking fantasy points. A lot of people are going to look at this game and say, oh, this game's going to be a blowout. I can't play it. Yada, yada, yada. I certainly understand avoiding high-priced players and potential blowouts, but a lot of times those blowouts happen because of the high-priced players, and we've already seen Giannis able to, in less than 30 minutes, drop 70 fantasy points, and this should be a matchup that you should be just fine in. I will say the Cavs are a slower-paced team. They do have some good rebounders that could, maybe still some rebound upside from the Bucks here, but I wouldn't dismiss Giannis, and I still think he's probably a little too cheap to what he can get to. Wouldn't be surprised if Giannis reached like 12K within a month or two. So I'll play some Giannis. I don't know where I'm gonna rank him in order of my studs yet, just because the spread suggests that this game can get super lopsided. FanDuel, where he's 12.4K, there's a strong argument to going the other way. But at 10.6K, 55, 60, not the end of the world. And you don't really see a whole lot of range of outcomes where he's not getting that mark. Bucks are going to push the pace. They're going to put up a lot of points. In an up-pace spot for a Cavs team that's typically, middling in pace is intriguing for Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson. We talked about it on the Saturday slate. I didn't act on it for sure. Because to me there was like better plays at the price range, like Pascal Siakam on Saturday, but that was the Kevin Love spot. 55.75 DKP, 13 and 18 rebounds so far, 9 assists in that Indy game, which is not something I'm used to. But in a fast-paced game like this, you have to take some chances and shoot probably more threes, and that's a part of Kevin Love's game that we haven't seen a lot yet. 1 in 5 3-point attempts in game 1 and game 2. The Milwaukee Bucks are going to make you shoot threes because they're going to play fast and they're going to likely take a commanding lead, and you're going to have to take some chances. And I think Kevin Love is their best shot at sinking the 3. The Bucks are a really scrappy defense. They're really, really built to be a strong perimeter defense and be annoying to all the 3-point shot takers. So Kevin Love comes with a ton of risk here with the spread and whatnot. But there is game script for him to maybe take double-digit 3-point attempts, and we know his rebounding prowess could see him give us a double-double. But he's certainly going to be, if he's in my pool, he's going to be like a tier 3. As of now, we'll see if that changes throughout the day if somebody's randomly out. I'm probably not going to mess with any of these secondary plays from the Bucks. Matthews at 4,100, somewhat intriguing, but I think Giannis is the main guy for me on a full slate for the Bucks in a massive split. Spurs hosting the Portland Trailblazers. Blazers night 2 of a back-to-back. Little road trip they got going. Spurs are a team that are making me wonder what the heck's going on right now. But they're also a team that I think can only get better because I don't think Greg Popovich is going to deal with a team that's given up 111 points to the Knicks and 124 to the Wizards. And I believe that was a Wizards game on night 2 of a back-to-back. So I'm sure Popovich will fix whatever is broken. But yeah, in the meantime, what we have is a small sample size that's telling us the Spurs are not getting it done on defense right now. So we'll see if adjustments come and Popovich starts playing with his lineup a little bit. Maybe see Rudy Gay in a starting lineup or, I'm saying something like that. Starting with the Blazers side, yesterday Zach Collins dislocated his shoulder, which, unfortunate for him. I hope he gets better. With that in mind, he's going to have an MRI today. Uh, if the MRI reveals a subluxation, that's a tough word, which is a partial dislocation, um, I guess that would be better for him. If the test revealed that it was a full dislocation or any additional damage was done, Collins' absence would be measured in probably amount of weeks, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be missing a month, whereas if it was just a small thing, maybe he misses a week or two. Um, Dislocations are funny like that. We see guys that dislocate a shoulder and it's a clean pop and they just pop it back in and they finish the game. And then you see times where like Kevin Love gets his arm yanked out and he's done. It's just a weird injury that we speculating is just that speculating. But I would say there's no chance Zach Collins plays today, and with him out, creates an opportunity for value. Scal BCA could pick up some extra minutes. They could go smaller with Mario Hezonja, Kent Bazemore. I think Hezonja might be the name that everyone starts with today because he's the fantasy sweetheart of years past. Saw 25 minutes against Dallas yesterday, 21 DKP. We've seen him with the Magic and I think the Pistons, I want to say, where he would have massive games every now and then. So that is what it is. I think Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum are still the guys that are going to take up most of the usage. If you look at what Zach Collins was bringing to the table and what you might be trying to replace, uh, 5 shot attempts. So it's not like he was a high usage guy or even a bunch of rebounds that you're replacing. So I'm not going to be running to play his replacement like I think a lot of the field will be. But theoretically, so far the Spurs have been less than great on defense. And then there's that. Damian Lillard under 9K on night 2 of a back-to-back could surely draw less ownership than most of these 9K studs and probably will. Like I said, Trae Young's right there. But he's playing deep minutes. He's got a shot at 50 plus. He's given us 50 plus in 2 games thus far. Kings were a faster paced matchup. Expect this to be more of a neutral pace, if not a pace down. So I'm probably not going to go too excited with Blazers today. Whiteside at 76 in this matchup, it's whatever. It is what it is. I don't think Whiteside's going to see intense minutes. You could argue that maybe he could see 30 minutes now that Collins is down. But nonetheless, it's just, I don't know. It just seems like he's on a secret 26-minute limit. That's literally the exact amount of minutes he's gotten through 3 games. So until further notice, I just want to play him in the right spots because my initial prognosis on Whiteside was this could be a 30-minute role with the new team, and so far it hasn't. Luckily, when I've played him, he's gotten there, but I think I might be skipping out today. On the Spurs side, there's players that come along that keep crushing in minimal minutes, and I keep fading because I believe minimal minutes gives you kind of a glass ceiling. And through 2 games so far, DeJounte Murray is that guy, or one of those guys, rather. 6,100 for him. He started at 56, he went to 57, now he's 6,100. He's flirting with a triple-double in 23 and 24 minutes. I don't expect those minutes to expand fast, at a fast, rapid rate. He's coming back from a big injury. They have plenty of guards: Patty Mills, Derek White, Bryn Forbes, Marco Bellinelli. So I don't see an immediate need for the Spurs to stretch this. But it is really annoying to fade a guy that I project for 23 minutes, and he crushes it, man. 40 plus fantasy points in 2 games thus far. So maybe if you have a little bit more or a little less, I don't know if it's discipline or not, I'll say a little bit more risk tolerance than I do. Um, you could certainly consider Murray as a 40 plus guy that might be underpriced based on what he's doing so far. I think generally speaking, I'm not running to this game. It has a 221 total, 5.5 point spread in favor of the home team, San Antonio Spurs. That spread's kind of wiggled up a little bit. It looks like it's moved 2 points since Zach Collins' injury. So there's enough real points there to explore options here. My gut's telling me that I'm just probably gonna end up elsewhere. But Aldridge, revenge game. LOL, smiley face. Um, Aldridge and DeRozan. I feel like the day's coming that they're gonna have a good game, but I think Murray is playing enough minutes with enough usage that everyone's just medium plays. Next game on the docket: Suns hosting the Utah Jazz. Utah, man, I heard somebody earlier say that Utah's not a good defense, and I was just like, "What? Like, what is you talking about?" The Russell Westbrook thing. Utah is an elite defense, and they have been elite through 3 games this season. So, hey, if you're listening to somebody who tells you that, they are absolutely wrong. And through 3 games, I don't even know if they've allowed a team to score over 100. 81 to Sacramento, 95 to the Lakers. Even though they lost with a million turnovers, still gave up less than 100 points. And then 95 to the Thunder. So they're picking up where they left off last season. Don't buy in to misinformation. Um, this game features 2 teams that are uh, coming from opposite ends of the spectrum from last season, and it features a Suns team that I gotta give it to them, man. They are scrappy so far. I mean, it could just be a fluke, but they lost DeAndre Ayton. They went into the altitude of Denver, Colorado, played the Denver Nuggets, took them to overtime. They lost Oubre to foul trouble in overtime. Um, and they lost that game. But then the next night, they on a back-to-back coming out of the altitude, host the Clippers, who are waiting for them off of rest, and Ricky Rubio was out, and they beat the Clippers, man. Like, I don't know that there's a bigger like scenario for an upset that I could paint, because I think the Clippers are the best defense. I mean, uh, maybe there's a case they're not the number one right now. When Paul George gets back, that's going to be a problem defensively. Not even talking about their offensive prowess. So shout out to the Suns, man. I doubted them. I thought that Clippers -9 would even be worth buying into, but it certainly was not. Suns beat them outright. They got Patrick Beverley to foul out. So it is what it is. Here they go hosting the Utah Jazz. But I'm not quick to believe that this is going to be the spot Utah gives in and gives up 120 points. But we shall see. Ricky Rubio, like I said, missed that last game against the Clippers on nights over back-to-back. Let's see if there's an update on his status here. He's being listed as probable, so he should be back here. Devin Booker's 8,500. Oubre 6,100. Oubre's still interesting to me because I think the minutes are there for him. But I don't think these are high-quality minutes in this matchup. So even though the Suns pulled off what probably will be remembered as an upset and maybe an anomaly, I don't think I'm going back to the well here. Saric is a little bit interesting at 4,800, and then maybe, just maybe, Frank Kaminsky at 5,300 is still a viable option because I do think if you allow this guy to be an offensive asset for your team, he can be just that. 18 and 19 points in the 2 games without DeAndre Ayton, about 30 minutes in each game. Fouls are there. He's trying to play some defense. The rebounds are there. You saw 6 assists in the last game. 5,300. I think now we're starting to take off some of the meat that's on the bone. But he's still in my pocket. Maybe he has a bad game and another matchup brings his price down closer to 5K. But I certainly think he has the talent to be a 5K player. Just this matchup is not great. The total for this game, by the way, 217.5, 4.5 point spread in favor of Utah. So Vegas is saying Suns will score over 100 points against Utah, and Utah is not going to hold everyone to under 100. I was just kind of making a statement that the thought that the Utah Jazz are not good on defense anymore is just asinine. It's so bad. Moving on to the next game, Kings hosting the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic, 9,600 against the Kings is probably going to be a name that floats to the forefront, especially if you're like me. You like to have a couple late night hammers that close the deal for you on your table setters. Jokic, through a couple games, has been just fine, has flexed his upside. Game 1 in 24 minutes, he got you 40 fantasy points. Game 2, 41 minutes of overtime, he got you 60 plus with a triple double. You take out that overtime, it's probably a mid 50s performance. Historically, I do prefer Jokic at home versus on the road. Last season, he averaged 5 less points per game on the road than at home. 5 points could be a difference on a GPP takedown. But because of the matchup, he's certainly a guy that's in play for me. Should be an opportunity just in and of itself to maybe flirt with another triple double. The total for this game, by the way, 218, and the visiting Denver Nuggets favored by 6. Jamal Murray, secondary play that kind of enters the conversation for me. I also think the Denver defense is fine, but Sacramento offensively has kind of struggled to get it done. Like I said, I'm not going to overreact to their lack of production against the Utah Jazz. 81 real points in that game, 95 against Phoenix. Their offensive efficiency has not been what you want. There's nothing else I can say about that, but we do know that they have some young stars that are going to have off and on nights. Buddy Hield, De'Aaron Fox, to name a few. Hield's been dealing with a flat tire on his ankle, and then Fox at 7,300. He's a guy that could stuff the stat sheet, but I don't think this is a great spot for them, so I'm not going to particularly target anyone individually at a high level of ownership. I think you can still make a case for Nemanja Bjelica at 4,200 to be a guy that hits maybe 10, 15 points worth of shots and maybe peripherals his way into a solid value day. At 4,200, I don't think that price is egregious at all. And then on the Nuggets, I think we can explore them a little bit deeper later today on the Twitch stream. But this game certainly seems like it's going to just be a 1 or 2 guy decent exposure level for me. And then what we got? Just one more game left? Yeah, one more game. So we'll take a pause for the cause and let you guys know that this afternoon, of course, we have the Twitch stream, which I've already plugged a few times. But one more again, can't hurt nobody. Twitch.tv/Gunducker99. 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. I'll be live over there. We usually go live a little earlier, play some tunes, and hang out. So if you guys want to be part of that, just go make an account on Twitch. Get up in that chat. Enjoy the live stream with me. Probably be joined by Raj, the Canadian Skip Bayless. And then after that, at about 5 p.m. Eastern, for 2 hours before lock, I'm live in the RunDFS.com premium Discord. And you guys can get in that. You see, we've pushing almost 100 members right now. And these are all sharp cats winning serious money. I mean, in the first week, we've probably got a collective, I don't know, at least 100K collectively. We saw 30KJ on Friday. Was it Friday? Yeah, it took second in the slam with the FanDuel VIP lineup. Yes, we have optimal lineups that you guys can get inspired by, but please don't sign up for just that. I don't want lineup buyers. I want lineup makers and thought processors and stuff like that. But this is the Discord app. If you guys haven't seen it before, some ancient sites will use the Slack app, not us, baby. The Discord app. Get in here, get signed up, and then you'll see this NBA voice chat. You click on that, you'll be in there. We'll be in there. We'll be talking some plays, having some fun, and there's always somebody keeping an eye on the news and notes and whatnot. And they're playing everything. So while I'll be playing NBA, they're playing showdowns and hockey and golf and all that stuff. It's just a great community to be part of. I will also have my own player pool in the spreadsheet, which you will get access to the spreadsheet with the pass. I will list my personal tiers. These are guys that I will have X amount of exposure to, high tiers, mid tiers, low tiers, my top values, low values, whatnot. So if you just want to support the stream, support the site, get a little something in return, go to RunDFS.com, make yourself an account, get signed up, and then you'll get shouted out next Monday at the beginning of the video. Main event tonight: Los Angeles Clippers hosting the Charlotte Hornets. Hornets night 2 of a back-to-back. Hornets and Clippers come to us of a total of 225.5, and the Clippers are favored by 15.5. Tough spot for the Hornets. They played all the way in LA at the Staples Center last night. Tonight they got to travel all the way to LA in the Staples Center and face Patrick Beverley and Kawhi Leonard, and the Clippers, of course, coming off of that disappointing loss against the Phoenix Suns. I will probably not target anybody from the Charlotte Hornets. I just don't think I will. Cody Zeller had an amazing fantasy game last night. Like, if you think you could muscle 30 fantasy points out of him or something like that, go for it. I feel like every game so far, I just haven't had the warmer fuzzies on. Maybe the Pelicans game or whatnot, but there's been a couple. There's been a lot of games that I just feel like aren't like, for stuff that I just don't want, and usually don't get that on a big slate. On the Clippers side, Patrick Beverley sub 5K. He's a little bit intriguing to me. The Hornets have been just getting terrorized by bigs so far. Now they could have just run into a bad schedule, man, but it is getting ugly on what opposing bigs are able to do against this Hornets front court. They have faced AD, they have faced Karl-Anthony Towns, but heck, even Dwight Howard last night had himself a ball game. So this just seems like an undersized Hornets front court. I don't know that there's a particular starter that I would select to take advantage of that, but there's a guy named Montrezl Harrell off the bench at 6,400 that I wouldn't mind having some pittered, pattered, scattered exposure to. He dropped 40 plus against the Phoenix Suns. 32 minutes in that game. I think if he got 30 plus minutes in this game, he could build off of what maybe Dwight Howard did and have himself a double-double, 20 plus real points, a very realistic range of outcome for him here. So he would be somebody that would enter my pool as a late night hammer. Lou Williams, 7,100. His girl actually has a girlfriend. I don't know if you guys read about that in Wall Street Journal, but I did. 29 minutes in the last two games, 37 on opening night. You probably don't expect him to stretch his minutes in a lopsided affair. Maybe Montrezl has a little bit more fun. But Lou Will will go out there. He'll get his. I'm on the assumption that Lou Will is just going for another 6 man of the year, probably cruise controlling it. But you're probably going to get a floor of 20 real points, and then it's just a matter of peripherals on top of that. 7,100, I don't think it's a must-play, must-click, but 40-plus fantasy points is a certain range of outcome, or a reasonable range of outcome for him. And then if you bought into this game blowing out and the 15-point spread kind of suggests that it should, Devontae Graham might soak up a lot of garbage time. If that, 27, 28 minutes in regulation in all three games thus far, has been pretty efficient for the most part, most notably taking double-digit shot attempts. Last night was a bad shooting night, 1 for 13, and that one was a three-point shot attempt. But prior to that, his shot has been what the kids call wet. So maybe at 4,800, you can see a guy flirt with 30 fantasy points one way or the other. Maybe there's still some meat on the bone. But yeah, Hornets catching night two of a back-to-back against the Clippers. Usually it's not what you want, although I've literally just said that with the Phoenix Suns and was proven incorrect. That is our first look at today's NBA slate for Monday, October 28, 2019, man. If you guys enjoyed the ride and would like to help me out, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit that notifications bell. If you want to hit that thumbs up, that would be ultra lit too. I don't know why, but it's taken forever to get to 5K subs. I have a theory that YouTube kind of kicked me out of the algorithm since I didn't put up content all summer long. And then I had a strike or two on the channel for having DraftKings links in my description. So maybe I'm being punished. If you guys want to help me fight the good fight, the two ways to do that would be, hey, share the video with some friends and talk about how dumb this guy is when it comes to NBA. And the other one would be to follow the Twitch channel, because I am broadening the horizon with Twitch content, man. Other than that, twitter.com/GundeckerSports. That's where you guys can reach out to me if you're not in the premium Discord. We will probably drop a link to a public Discord on today's Twitch stream. We have it made. I just want to make sure that it's ready to go. I've had a admin helping me out there. If that free Discord kind of, I don't want to say blows up, but if it gets successful, I'll probably be looking for some moderators and whatnot to help out and keep that thing going. We had a free Discord last year that I lost access to. But that one, we had some regulars getting that one going. So if you guys want to look out for that link, check out the Twitch stream later today, and then tomorrow's video, I'll probably have it linked in the description below. Man, you guys are awesome. I hope you start your weekends off great on this Monday night. I will catch you guys in the next video. I love each and every one of you. Good luck. God bless. Go win some money.